We are live.
Beatings and palpitation. I am the Mad Metal Man. Here with here with Anton Voorhees, everybody. So we got another interview. Yay! Woo! And joining us with Anton is, of course, the beautiful, the real Mad Metal Man. I'm Hitsugi Hime. I just pointed at my boobs, not meaning to. And of course, gaming and yelling.
Screw you.
Love you too. And of course, our boy, the myth, the legend, and everybody's favorite person in the entire group, Hammers. Fine, don't say anything, Hammers.
Also, the big, huge John Cronus fan.
There you go,
Thank
Hammers. Yeah, there. Okay, that's good. Good boy. So, should we start with the fan fiction, or should we just jump into the interview first?
I will leave that up to our guest.
Oh, you guys are masters of your own destinies. I'm just along for the ride.
You are the link to the past, though.
No, I'm the link to the future.
You're the link to the future. There you go. Yeah, I'm sorry. I fucked up, everybody.
Boo!
Not even
Professional
5 minutes in. 80 seconds.
When
Started.
have I not fucked
Just
up the
started.
beginning of...
We just started and god damn it, you already fucked things up.
When do I not fuck up the beginning of all the interviews? I fucked up each and every one of the ones that I've done.
Yeah, but we're expecting you to at least improve a little. At least a little bit. I mean,
You
God.
shouldn't expect a lot from me, guys.
All right.
All right.
We will do the fan fiction, I suppose.
God.
Start that off.
I can't have my beautiful and wonderful person / boss, known as the Mad Metal Man, do it. So I will have to embarrass the hell out of myself and do it. I hope you enjoy. I wrote this in like 20 minutes. Anyway, the link to the ass by the gorgeous Hitsugi.
Sounds like a terrible porn name.
Hammers. God damn it.
I'm sorry, please continue.
Thank you, Hammers. Love you too, bitch. All right. It was the day that Anton joined the glorious harem was the day I died happy. It was a typical day with Richard Chenary reading his book and my head on his lap, stroking his beard. Suddenly, he closed his book and smelled the air, his eyebrows raised slightly. Suddenly, a man with a cape, a triangle over his right eye, a beard, and tight pants, kicked our door in, and he looked directly at Richard. Richard stood up, patting me on the head, and glared at him. Metal Man came waltzing in and stared at the caped man and paused and groaned, "Jesus, not again!" Jay heard the commotion and came barreling in. "Colorblind people don't ejaculate! I mean, what's going on here? This asshole broke our door down!" Metal Man screamed. Gaming finally waltzed in. "Hey, what's up, bit?" His eyes lit up at the sight of the caped man, and his jaw dropped. "Do he have the booty?" Gaming asked. Just then, the man dropped his cape from his shoulders and ripped his shirt off, his muscles glistening in the light. I'm not sure how they can glisten unless he was just constantly moist, but I mean, that's a side note there. He turned around, flexed, and grinning at Chenary. Gaming's jaw dropped and he cried, "He does!" I felt my eyes staring at his glorious ass, drooling a little. Richard glared at him and took his book and tossed it at him. Hammers walked in as soon as that happened and looked at me and Gaming, then the caped man. "Oh, hey, Anton Voorhees." Thank you, Hammers. "He has a name!" Gaming cried and then looked at me. "He's mine, you fucking bitch!" Just then, Gaming tackled me. Richard tackled Anton. I choked Gaming and he stabbed me with his nipples. He's not yours, he's mine, you slutty cunt waffle. I I screamed and punched him. Richard and Anton were in an all-out brawl, but every time that Anton's ass got in a good shot of me and Gaming stopped trying to murder each other. Metal Man grabbed hold of me and Gaming, pulling us apart. For God's sakes, you meatbags, calm down. Can't you see that that you should be fighting over me?
Arf.
Metal Man is mine too, bitch! Gaming yelled. No way in hell! I growled and started to choke Gaming, his nipples getting harder and harder. Metal Man sighed and gave up halfway. It was pure chaos until he heard a small voice whimper. Stop it! I can't do the British accent. I'm too amused. I'm sorry. We all turned to the source and saw that it was Jamie. His limey cunt face grimaced. And he looked close to tears. We used to be so close. What changed it?
Fuck. The fuck is that? What the fuck is that? God.
From fan fiction to soap opera.
That was a quick change.
Anton, run, please. Just fucking run.
Fucking hard left, man. Hard left.
Oh, God.
I just let my fingers do the work. Hey. Sexy wrestlers that we want to bone? I answered bluntly. This bitch keeps stealing my men, Gaming pouted. You didn't lose me, baby. You didn't lose me, baby. Jamie touched his shoulder.
Who fucking talks like that? Who the fuck talks like that?
No, I
guess British people.
Now I get the image of Rocco and Marco's Modern Life going like, oh baby, oh baby, oh baby.
I apologize to all the Britons listening.
Gaming slapped his hand away and looked at him in disgusted. Fuck off me, bitch. I'm too beautiful for you. He turned his head away. Cog sighed, and I didn't seem to mention him walking in, so there you go, and raised his hands up. How about this? You could share, Anton. Fuck no, Gaming protested. Okay, is there anything you can agree on? Cog folded his arms. He's got a nice ass? I looked at Gaming. Well, duh, it's perfect like me. Gaming grinned. If I might interrupt, Anton cleared his voice. It costs money to look. Well, fuck that. We're broke, Middleman said. Since when? Jay asked. We don't make money off of our streams? I answered. How did we get this big ass office then? Jay asked. Middleman shrugged. I hate the former patrons? He smiled. Well, looks like our boners will never be satisfied, I said. Don't worry about that statement. Speak for yourself, bitch. I'll get that man to love me, even if it's the last thing I do. Gaming snapped his fingers in my face. For visual reference. Richard shrugged and sat down on the couch, patting the side while looking at me. I snuggled up next to him and stroked his beard again. Anton sat next to us and smiled. So is it cool if I chill here? Might as well. Everyone else seems to know our location. Middleman sighed and walked off into the kitchen, presumably to get a bread sandwich. Bread sandwich reference. There you go. Anton smirked. Nice. He rested his elbow on me and Gaming sat on his lap. How much to touch your ass? I only accept. He stared into his face and winked. Master ass. We both sat in silence and Gaming whispered, what the fuck was that? No idea. I muttered. And that started our expensive but perfect butt obsession. The end.
I don't know whether to clap or snap my fingers or...
Okay.
There you go.
Here we go. Thank you for listening and enjoying this cringeworthy fanfiction.
This just gave me crabs. I don't know.
Not surprised.
Well, you've been welcomed into the fold now, Anton. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm all right. I've never sat through something like that. So, new experiences.
And this is where he stops DMing me and blocks me.
And interview over. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks, guys. That was awesome. I told you it'd be cringeworthy. I did warn you about that.
Oh, God. I'm going to die.
I said wait till after the interview.
Okay.
Yeah, that way you have a reason to kill yourself, remember?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm marking the reasons down as we go.
Yes. All right. So who's got a question?
Well, like I said, I am woefully unprepared because of the events of the day, so that would rely on y'all.
Oh, and Skittles, I have to add, said fan fiction is good, but needs more gaming's nipples. Yeah, that's true. I should have added more.
Well,
I guess I'll be.
Go for it.
Go ahead, Hammers. You've never asked a question before.
Well, because I'm usually the one that doesn't like asking too many questions. Conspiracy? I think not.
That's cryptic.
I would like to ask Anton, how did you get started wrestling? What was the thing that kind of flicked the light switch on, saying, "Hey, I think I could be good at this"?
Phone's for you.
Let's see. I watched wrestling a lot as like a very small child. My dad showed it to me, and it was something that I kept following, even though it wasn't something that he liked. He just showed it to me one day and was like, "Look at this! Like, look at this stupid shit!" And I was like, "I love this stupid shit." And I just kept following it, and once I was in high school and ECW became a thing, and I saw like little Spike Dudley wrestle, I was like, holy shit, I can do this. If that guy can do this, I can do this. And after I graduated high school, I had a buddy of mine that was like, hey man, I found a wrestling school that's close to us, and we should totally sign up. And I was like, yes, I'm very codependent. Let's do that together. And then a week in, he dropped out, and I was like, I guess I'm done being a wrestler. And one of the guys that was in the training school, Sean Sims, was like, hey, man, I know I don't know you, but you're already really good, so you should stick around. Like, I will be your friend. I will get you through this. And I was like, okay, so thanks to the sensational Sean Sims, like, I am a wrestler. If without him, I definitely would have quit that day, like 3 days into wrestling training.
Well, I'm glad you stuck around.
I am also glad I stuck around for 13 years.
Oh my gosh.
13 years. So what was the first? I would say, what was the first gimmick you had that you got when you were wrestling, or what was the first? I guess what was the first name?
Sure. I was asked what I wanted to wrestle as, and I wanted to wrestle as Anton Voorhees because that's just who I am. And one of my trainers, Alexis Derevko, known at Hoodslam as Zangief, was like, that's the stupidest fucking name I've ever heard. And I was like, cool. And like 3 months into my wrestling training, my trainer was going to go work a show in Oregon and was like, hey, you're going to wrestle on the show. And I was like, holy shit. I'm glad that you think that I'm ready. And he's like, oh, you're not ready. You're just going to work the show. And I'm like, oh, confidence. Wonderful. And he was like, do whatever you want. If you want to be Anton, like, that's totally fine. And I was like, no, it's my first match. I'm going to put a mask on, and I'm hopefully never going to wrestle as this character again. So my first character was Enigma, named after the Riddler from Batman comics.
Nice.
And I wrestled for a company called BAW, which I don't know what it stood for, and it is no longer a company. And, yeah, it was me in a mask wearing tights that were too big, and during a Hurricane Rana, my fucking pants fell down, and my ass fell out. So, yeah, wrestling.
There were no pictures of this. This is,
I know.
this
Like,
is
where's pictures, please, or it didn't happen.
I was seriously, we were going with the pictures or it didn't happen thing.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I
Jeez.
guess it didn't happen then, because I don't think anyone took pictures, or if they did, those people are in Oregon, and I don't know them. So
So you just got some random lady somewhere, just like, oh yeah, that ass.
yeah, I guess so. Like, look at that guy's gray boxer briefs. Oh yeah.
Mm.
I'm down here.
Ah.
It's hidden in someone's basement. Let's be honest.
I almost died. I shouldn't have tried to swallow while that happened.
So yeah, that was my first gimmick was Enigma. He lasted a whole show. We posted a video after the show about how he died in a horrible McDonald's bathroom accident.
What? Oh my god.
And my next match after that, I was Anton Voorhees.
Oh, poor Enigma. Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
Man. So it was just that one show that Enigma showed up on?
Yep, just the one show wearing a Coyote Jones mask, which was a different local wrestler from around the East Bay, San Francisco East Bay. And yeah, everything that I wore was like someone else's, and I was like, yeah, whatever, I don't give a fuck. I just want to get through a match and make sure that I don't suck at this. And besides my butt falling out, I did not suck at it. So
Excellent.
I was ready to be Anton after that. My first gimmick as Anton was Canadian. So for the first like 10 years of me being a wrestler, everyone actually assumed I was Canadian, and I am not Canadian. So that's still confusing to people that knew me a long time ago. It's just like, wait, you're not Canadian? Like, no, man, this is all work. It's all a work.
Yeah, they should all know that you're Mexican. I mean, God, how could they not get that?
I know. Must be my really dark olive complexion and ability to grow hair that's not just on my face.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. No, never mind.
So so when did you start going from Anton Voorhees to Link from Hood Slam? When was?
Great question. So when I was wrestling, originally I was wrestling for my home promotion, which was Devil Mountain Wrestling, and Sheik Kanabati was wrestling there also with my co-trainer Derevko, and they were a team, and they were like, hey, Derevko was a Russian, Sheik was an Iranian, and they're like, hey, join because you're the Canadian, and we'll form a group called America's Most Hated. And I was like, sure. And like during that time, like I got really close with Sheik, like he kind of took me under his wing and was like, hey, no one that you train with is going to show you how to do like flippity high flying shit. So like I got you covered, like I got you back. And then when he finally started Hood Slam with Toby Reynolds, he asked me if I would be a part of it. And at the time I was married, and I was like, you know what? This probably isn't what I should be doing. I don't need to do that. And then for a long time, Sheik would ask me like every, year or so, like, hey, when are you going to come to a Hood Slam? And I was like, I don't think it's really my scene. I don't drink. I don't smoke. It's not going to be like a good time for me. I feel like I'm just going to be really uncomfortable. And then I got divorced and I started drinking and smoking. And he was like, hey, this is like the last chance. Do you want to do Hood Slam? You can be Link from Legend of Zelda. And I was like, yes, this is what I want to do with my life now.
Yeah, that works now. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, so that was like 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I think.
Really?
Was that when you actually got the tattoos representing the video game?
No, I've had those. I got my first Legend of Zelda tattoo, which was my first tattoo, The one on my chest, I got that like right out of high school. Like two of
Nice.
two of my friends were gonna do it with me. They're like, "Yeah, we'll get Triforces," and then I did it, and they're like, "Yeah, we're not gonna do that." And I was like, "Okay, well, whatever."
Okay, cool.
Hey, they're lost.
Right?
So,
It looks awesome.
were you actually a video game fanatic? Do you play video games still?
Oh yeah, I play video games a lot. Legend of Zelda was like the first game that I really got into, the original for NES, and then like Zelda 2 came out, which wasn't a big deal. And then when the Super Nintendo version came out, it was like, you weren't expecting another game. Like there weren't these like long going like gaming legacies at the time. So it was like, holy shit, another Zelda game on a new console? That's amazing. So like I really got into Link to the Past. And then once like Ocarina came out on 64, it was just like, holy shit, they're gonna keep making Zelda games. And like every time one came out, it just hit me from like these childhood memories of like being like 3 years old and playing video games. And so Zelda's always been really important to me in general. And when I got the opportunity to play Link, like it just went over the top. Because I don't know if you have this situation in your lives, but like you like one thing like kind of a lot, but it's not like your entire world. But then everyone's like, "This is your thing. You do this thing now." And then all of a sudden, like every Christmas present is like, "Oh shit, a new Zelda thing!" Like, "Oh man, I already have this. God damn, my whole house is Zelda." I didn't. This isn't what I wanted, but it's what I have.
That's pretty much me with One Piece because that's just easy for everybody. Because like, hey, why not? It's like it's an easy gift, and I'm just like, hey, cool, One Piece.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I fucking love The Legend of Zelda, but like I don't buy most of my Legend of Zelda stuff. Like it's given to me and I'm like, "Cool. This is me now. I'm the Zelda guy."
Let's see. One of my first games, of course, had to be Super Mario, and I did own the Legend of Zelda, the first one, the golden cartridge. But
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I'm ashamed to say I never finished the game. I went to the last level, I went to the final stage, but I kept dying, getting lost, or my system would just crash for playing for such a long time.
Oh my
Oh,
god!
for sure.
But one of my all-time favorite games ever, it's actually Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. I've actually passed it multiple times, and I enjoy playing that game. And I'm not a Zelda fan, but Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past is one of my hands down favorite Super Nintendo games ever. So yeah.
Oh, it was fantastic. It took everything and blew it out the water.
I was going to say it's one of the pinnacle games of the SNES.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I love Link to the Past. I also kind of hate Link to the Past because it set the rule that then was in every Zelda game after that came after it until Breath of the Wild. So like I love Link to the Past, but then every game afterwards I was like, all right, I got to beat these 3 things, get the 3 things, get the Master Sword. Now I got to beat 8 things to do the 8 things, do my little side quests, and then I beat Ganon, and that's the end of the game. That's every game.
That's sorry, I didn't. That's kind of why I liked Majora's Mask because it's like, oh hey, you don't have to worry about 8 places anymore. It's just 4, but you get to do like these sort of side quests with masks and things like that. And there you go, have fun.
For sure.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask, well, besides Zelda, let's push the Zelda stuff to the side. Let that just kind of permeate over there. And what's
permeate?
Your favorite game?
Is that the word you want? Permeate?
I'm kidding.
She wants to permeate on your ass some more. That's what she wants.
Oh, shut up. Anyway, what's your favorite game of all time? Like, what's your favorite game? Just ever. You love it every time you play it.
I love Link to the Past. Don't get me wrong. I love Link to the Past. I've played Final Fantasy VII more than any other game, like from beginning to end.
Yes.
I fucking love Final Fantasy VIII because Squall, I just got him when I was in high school and that game came out. I was like, I get this guy. He fucking hates everybody. He says whatever a lot. I love him. It's wonderful. He's the worst protagonist. Like, he's so unlikable. I fucking love this guy. So I'm gonna say possibly Final Fantasy VII, if not A Link to the Past. Also, I would throw in like fucking Bomberman
Oh
on
yeah.
Ooh.
Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis. I fucking loved Bomberman. Like that was just such a fun game to play with a bunch of friends and just get hell of pissed at each other before Mario Party came out and your friendships. So yeah, I'm gonna say those ones. I'm gonna say those are my picks.
I shall return.
Okay, middleman. Remind me to tell you the squall story sometime. I got this kid confused with squall in Japan. Like, I'll tell you sometime. It's a hell of a story. Anyway, let's continue on with the interviews. This isn't about me. This is about you. Okay.
Bring
well. Shit. Well, favorite movies.
Do you, I oh.
And then you could ask whichever you want to
go,
ask.
go for hers first because she's more important than me.
Oh no, hammers! No, you precious son of a bitch! You're the one who introduced me to Hood Slam.
Okay, so real quick, favorite movie is probably a tie between The Breakfast Club and Tombstone. Those two movies I can watch over and over, quote the whole thing, and still enjoy it. A lot of movies I've seen too many times and I hate, like Billy Madison. I can't watch that shit anymore. That shit is no longer funny. I know everything. But for whatever reason, Breakfast Club and Tombstone, like I can watch those forever and love them every single time.
So you're very much an '80s kid.
I mean, I guess. I don't know.
Wasn't saying that to just be like, hey, let me just label you as like, boom, 80s, ooh. No, I'm just saying like a lot of your, well, Link to the Past wasn't 80s, it was early 90s, but yeah. But go ahead with your question there, Hammers.
I just kind of wanted to get, because I'm a fan of Hood Slam. I won't lie about it.
Me too.
Well, yeah. Everybody should go watch Hood Slam.
They should. I'm promotion right now. Shilling the shit up. Watch Hood Slam. Watch the YouTube videos. Watch their Twitch streams. Follow them on Twitter. For fuck's sake, they are so much fun to watch.
Yep.
There you go. Here's your promotion.
One of the things I've been most intrigued with, and one of my favorite matches of yours, Entertainia 5. With Pong in the Japanese gaming deathmatch.
Yes.
How did you guys come up with those ideas to do like the sword and the power glove? Like what's the conversation going into doing a Japanese gaming deathmatch?
All right. So, first of all, before I can even answer that question, I have to talk about Pong. Pong is fucking amazing. He might not look like an athlete. He is well aware of his shortcomings. Like, he has exercise-induced asthma, which as a wrestler is probably the worst fucking thing that you can go into the ring with. But he is so fucking smart. He is so good at wrestling psychology and storytelling. He, like myself, like was an actor from a young age and like did theater for a long time. And he just grasps how to like get a crowd invested, whether he was a good guy or a bad guy. Fun fact, he was my very first tag team partner when he was Arcade, and we did a comic books and video games gimmick. That lasted a whole like 3 shows. But yeah, talking to him about it was just like, he knows what he can do. He knows what he makes look good. And he was like, these are the spots that I want to do because I want you to give me these things. They'll look great. And I'm like, cool. I guess hit me with things. I don't know. And yeah, we just kind of like tried to put it together of like what would be funny. And we didn't plan a whole lot. Like, he was like, this is all the shit that I'm bringing. And I was like, all right, well, here's all the shit that I'm bringing. And basically the match is like, we'll do a spot. go look through the shit and try to come up with something. Do a spot, go through all the shit and try to come up with something. So it was a really easy and fun match to put together. I trust Pong to get a match over more than I trust a lot of people to get a match over. And yeah, it was really easy. Like we didn't talk too much about what we wanted to do, and we just trusted each other to just be like, hey, I'm gonna grab this thing, and I'm either gonna hit you with it or I'm gonna have you hit me with it. And for some reason, we were doing a gimmick where he just hit me in the balls like every time we saw each other. So I think in that match, he smashed my nards like 8 times or something like that. It was ridiculous how many low blows I took in that match. And each one was not fun. Each one of them had a little bit of spice on it.
Excuse me.
Pong is soul.
I guess I have a question for you. Who's...
Yes, that's the whole point of this thing.
What? Okay, that was dumb of me to say. Okay, let me just... Whatever. Anyway. God damn it, I got tongue-tied.
Professionalism.
What?
Professionalism.
Professionalism, everybody, because that's exactly what we excel in. Who would you say is your favorite people to wrestle with in Hood Slam?
To wrestle like against, or to like be in the ring with in general, or what? Clarify.
Okay. We'll do the first one to wrestle against, and then the second one to be in the same ring with.
One of my favorite people to wrestle against is probably Matt Carlos, who has until recently been known as Ryu.
Nice.
He is fucking like, he's just such a good human being. Like, anytime I've ever brought anything up to him, just like, hey man, do you want to do this thing? And he's like, I love it. Yes. Like everything is so positive that comes out of him. I really like working with him. I love working with Zangief because we've worked together for 13 years now. Like we don't really need to talk. It's just like, hey, let's do like these 4 moves and we'll figure the rest out when we're out there. Like I enjoy working him. Plus he's huge and like I'm so used to wrestling guys that are bigger than me. So like that's what's comfortable for me. I love wrestling with the twins, the Stoner brothers. Like they are so fucking creative and they're willing to do whatever. Like they don't give a fuck like how big they are. They're like, oh yeah, I'll let fucking Shakira Spears spear me and I'll sell it like it was Goldberg. Like they're great in the ring. But honestly, I love working the most with the Caution. I love working with Sheik and Ian. Like wrestling, doing the comedy shit that we did and just making shit up, and like all of us are able to play off of each other, and we all have such like a different sense of humor that all melds well together that like it's just so ridiculous to be in the ring. So I'm very sad that the Caution is no longer a thing. I miss them both. I hate them both. And, now I'm just doing my solo thing and trying to get back into what it's like to wrestle by myself. All by myself.
Oh, my Jesus, you sing too. Ugh. God damn it.
Call me lady boners.
Yep.
You leave my lady boner alone.
I knew you had one. That's why I was saying to calm it.
It's calm. At the beginning.
I need like 5 seconds away from the camera. All right. Second question, go.
So I wanted to talk also about that. How did the Caution thing kind of come up and about? Was it just like you three just came up and like, let's just make this tag team and just see what happens? Or how did it go down with creating the Caution?
Do you want the long version or the short version?
I'll let you decide. You're the big guy.
Always do it long. No,
big guy. All right. So the reason that the Caution stayed a thing is because of how ridiculous the forming of it was that I personally decided we have to keep doing this because of the fucking outlandish circumstances around it. So, I was asked to do a show at a flea market, which, if you're a wrestler, you know that flea market shows are not the best shows in general because no one is there to watch you wrestle. They're there to fucking buy a cheap VCR for some reason. So we're at the flea market and no one is there. It is fucking empty. The show doesn't start for like a couple hours. And Sheik comes up to me and is like, hey, we're doing like this whole trios tournament. So it's going to be you, me, and Omega. And I was like, I don't know who that is. He's like, Omega, the guy that plays Scorpion. And I was like, I don't know who that is. And he's like, I don't know what else to tell you. You'll recognize him when he gets here. And so Ian showed up, and I was like, okay, you're somewhat familiar, but I had never met him before. So I'm like, okay, we're a team. And Ian was, at the time, he was playing Scorpion, and he was also playing Player 2 Pong. So when Pong needed a tag team partner, it was Ian dressed just like Pong.
Okay.
So Ian showed up like half in that gear. So like he kind of had Pong gear on, but he was wearing tights with an octopus on it. And so we just started calling him Octopong the Scorpion. And that's what he wrestled as that night. Octopong the Scorpion.
Wow.
And so the show doesn't start for like an hour. No one's there except 5 kids are around the ring just waiting. Like no parents, just 5 fucking children, like 8 and 10-year-olds, just hanging out by the wrestling ring. And Sheik looks at me and he's like, hey, do you want to cut a promo for like an hour? And I was like, yes, I want to do that. Let's go. So we grab a microphone and Sheik and I get in the ring and he starts talking to the kids and like goes off for like 20 minutes. And then like 20 minutes in, he's like, did you want to say anything? And I was like, no, you've gone for 20 minutes. I want you to cut a promo for an hour. I'm here for the ride, man. So she calls the kids into the ring and we like sit in a circle and he tries to get them to do some slam poetry and they're having none of it because they're children. And so he's like, all right, so kids, we're in this triple, like we're doing this trios tournament and we're on a team and our friend Octopong is on our team and we need a team name. We can't go into this thing without a team name. And so he's like, all right, so you guys get to pick our name. What's our name? And one little kid raises his hand and he's like, you guys should be the Pirates. And we're like, that sucks, kid, but we don't say that out loud. We think it in our hearts. And we're like, not the Pirates. We're not, pirates. And he's like, oh, okay. And then he raises his hand again. And we're like, all right, what else? And he's like, you guys should be the Ninjas. And we're like, fuck, you're the worst, kid. But again, we don't say that. We're like, it's a good name, but I don't know. We don't dress like ninjas. There's probably other guys that could be better the ninjas than us. And then this little girl raises her hand, and we're like, okay, yeah, little girl. Let's leave this kid with the shitty names alone. Little girl, what should we be? And I'm thinking because the kid said the Pirates and the Ninjas, that the word the got stuck in her head, and she's like, you guys should be the Caution. And we're like, what? Those fucking words don't go together. The Caution? That doesn't even make sense. But we don't say that. And we're like, okay, why should we be the Caution? And she's like, because your opponents should be warned. And we're like, little girl, you win.
That was so
you
clever.
fucking win that shit.
That is so clever. Aww.
So we worked this tournament and we won the tournament and like it was in front of like maybe 20 people. Like no one was there. And afterwards, like I just kept making a huge deal about it. I was like, this may be the crowning moment of my life, winning the Three Ninjas Squire of Trios kickback tournament. And like I want to thank my Caution members, and like we just kept doing it. And then I was wrestling at a place called East Bay Pro Wrestling, and I asked the owner like, hey, can I bring in this guy Ian from the Caution? He's like, what the fuck is the Caution? I'm like, it's a thing I did once, but I think it could work. And so he came in, and then he and I started like teaming up. at East Bay Pro, and like we started off as bad guys, and we just did so much silly shit that the crowd just started liking us and like throwing streamers at us, and like at one point we got there and there was literally guys doing like that sign spinning shit with a caution sign.
Oh, yeah.
And like and in my head I'm like, what a strange coincidence that guy's doing this in front of the wrestling show with a caution. Silly. And then they came inside and I was like, oh shit, that's for us? Weird. Like, and we always would talk about how Sheik was in it. So we always talked about how we were 2/3 of the caution, even though like no one knew who Sheik was. He never wrestled there, but we were always like, yeah, 2/3 of the caution.
Aww.
And then eventually, like, we just like Sheik was like, hey, this caution thing's really working. Like, let's start doing it at Hood Slam, but like let's slowly get into it. So Sheik and Ian formed the caution at Hood Slam and started treating it like the NWO. They're like, yeah, the third man's coming. And then eventually, like, I came out and did something dastardly to help them win a match, and did one show as like Dark Link in all black, and then came out as Anton Voorhees and just called the audience idiots and was like, I'm an award-winning actor. Of course you believed I was Link, but I'm just a guy, you stupid morons. And that was the night that the butt stuff like really came into fruition.
You make it sound like you just started anal with your girlfriend that night or something. That's when the butt stuff came to fruition.
I mean, I'd like to think I kind of started anal with the entire Hood Slam audience that night. Because basically, I'm cutting a promo about like why I became a bad guy, and it's one of my favorite like ad libs that I've ever done. It was just like some guy was like shouting "pussy," just kept shouting "pussy, you pussy," and I was like, "Excuse me, sir." Like, you keep saying the word pussy, and I can't tell if you just like the word or if you're implying that I am a pussy. And he's like, you're a pussy. And I was like, all right, sir, the only way that I'm a pussy is if you are what you eat, which also makes me an asshole, butt stuff. And then, like, the crowd went from booing to cheering. Like, we became faces in, like, a sentence. Like, people were doing fucking high fives with their, like, neighbor, like, next to them and shit. It was just like, yeah, he said butt stuff. And I was like, all right, we're going to turn into good guys here also.
Nice. Honestly, you should be a stand-up comedian with some of this shit. I'm not joking. Like, you're funny as hell.
I am pretty funny.
Oh my god. So much humility.
No, I know what I bring to the table. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm bad at. Comedy is what has gotten me the most bookings in wrestling. So I have accepted, you know what? Enough people find me funny that I can just be like, yeah, I'm funny. Like, that's how I make money in wrestling, is I'm just a fucking idiot. Like, whenever people talk about wrestling gimmicks, they're like, well, what's your gimmick? And explain it to me as simply as possible. And like, what I've come to say is, I am a guilty pleasure. I am that guy that like comes out and you're like, oh, Anton's gonna wrestle. And then I do something stupid and you're like, fuck, why do I like this guy? I hate that I like him. Like, that's my goal as a wrestler, is to make you dislike that you really enjoy what I do.
I can appreciate your confidence. It's really nice to see, you know, and it's not like super overly over the top. Yeah, there you go. Yes, make fun of my speech impediment. Anyway, is there any other questions?
I do. Yes, I got a few questions. What is your past and present dream match? Like, if you could choose a wrestler from the past and from the present, who would they be and why?
Good question. Really good question. In the past, I think I'd really like to work against Rick Rude.
Oh, wow.
Because, he looked like such a wrestler. Like, you look at him and you're like, holy shit, this guy looks amazing. And like, he was very athletic, but at the same time, like, he was really fucking funny. Like, you watch some of his sells and you're like, this guy's a fucking idiot. And like, I think me and Rick Rude could have had like a lot of fun wrestling each other, even though he was a gigantic human being and I am not. But I think we could have had like a really fun match. In present day, who would I want to work? Like, I think the person right now who I want to work with the most is Brutal Rob Hands. Out of everybody on the planet, I would love to work a fucking angle against Brutal Rob Hands. That guy understands wrestling more than like someone who's been, because he's only been wrestling for like 5 years, which I'm not trying to like diminish like anything, but for his limited amount of ring time, like he gets wrestling. He just understands the grasp and performance and art of professional wrestling more than anyone else that's been wrestling as long as he has. And I think that he and I could have a lot of fun without putting out a lot of effort.
Hogan Warrior stuff, kind of.
Oh, we forgot to ask the most important question.
Oh, heavens.
You know what I'm talking about, middleman. Do it. Do it. Your voice is sexier.
All right. But I'm not explaining it once I've said it.
Someone else to explain it. Hammers, explain it.
So, Mr. Voorhees.
Yes.
Who's in your boys' stable?
Oh boy, here we go. Boys. Oh, why do we have to talk about boys again? Oh. Anton, I don't have you heard of OSW review at all?
SW review, no.
Okay. There is a novel concept around this idea of boys. And the terminology is kind of odd to say the least, but it's a thing. So a boy is consisted of three things. One, they cannot have held a world championship, i.e. a WWE, WCW, IWGP champion of some sort. ECW World Heavyweight Champion counts. Those just the big dogs of the championships.
Okay.
Second one is they can't be well respected in their certain fields. I mean, you can have some respect, but it's not like people will name them off the top of their heads and say, yeah, this is one of the greats.
Okay.
And then the third and final one, you have to be slightly ashamed of saying, yeah, he's my favorite wrestler. So it's an odd thing, but it's out there.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know that there would be an answer that I could give that would be like, oh, I'm embarrassed of this. Like, wrestling's wrestling. Like, everyone is good at something, and if I liked someone for something, then like there was a reason for it. I'm not ashamed. My favorite wrestler in high school was the fucking Road Dogg, and he's not exactly the greatest fucking mat technician of all time. But I'm not ashamed of that. So who would be in my stable? Sweet, merciful Jesus. Who would be in my stable? I think I would say, and like, I'm not like super knowledgeable when it comes to like a lot of the championships and stuff. So if I name someone, like, please feel free to be like, that doesn't count, and I'll be like, you're probably right. I don't. Yeah. But I would. The first name that jumps into my head is Lance Storm.
Yes,
I think
boy check.
Okay, yeah, I think Lance Storm was super underrated as a wrestler. Like, I fucking every time he wrestled, I was like, I want to wrestle like this guy. Like, every time I do a drop kick, I just think like how like I want to do this Lance Storm drop kick. And not a lot of people, that's not the first name that jumps into a lot of people's minds. They're like, AJ Styles did a good drop kick, or fucking Hardcore Holly, Randy Orton. And I'm like, Lance Storm. I want to do that Lance Storm drop kick. So definitely, yeah, Lance Storm.
All right.
Let's see, who else would I put in there? I'd probably think about Brian Kendrick, if he counts. I think Brian Kendrick.
Oh yeah, Brian counts. Yes.
I got to work with him once, and he is a tricky son of a bitch. That I don't know if he did it on purpose, but he showed up to Hood Slam to wrestle me, and he was a little late. And so when he got there, he was just like, "Hey, do you have any ideas?" And I was like, "Yeah, I have a couple ideas." And he's like, "All right, what are they?" And I was like, "Oh, I had this idea and this idea." He's like, "No, well, how do you want to start?" And I was like, "Why don't we start with this?" And he's like, "Okay, and then what?" And I was like, "All right, and then with this." And then he just kept saying, "And then what?" until we called the whole match. And he's like, "Cool, that sounds good." And I was like, "Wait a minute, you didn't input anything, you tricky fuck." Like I just had to come up with this whole match by myself. But yeah, he's definitely up there. He is such a cool fucking dude and like so mellow. I've worked for his wrestling company a couple times, and he's just like so fucking chill. He's just like, "Hey man, I'm glad you're here," and like you believe him. Like, "I'm so glad you're here to wrestle on my silly little show." Fucking
Aw.
Wrestling Pro Wrestling. Shout out to Wrestling Pro Wrestling. They're doing some fucking awesome stuff. They have a rivalry with Hood Slam that is, kayfabe. We hate them, but they're doing awesome stuff down there. Who else? I'll try to come up with one more. You know what? Fucking Bubba Rogers, Big Boss Man, fucking Guardian Angel. I would put him up there. He was my very first favorite wrestler.
Yes, that's right there. Pinnacle boy, right there.
Oh my gosh.
The first time I the first time I got to pick my own Halloween costume, I wanted to be the Big Boss Man. And my mom was like, "You want to be a police officer?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess so." And so she got me a fucking English Bobby outfit. And I was like, "This is nothing what I wanted." But I am 8 years old and I have no power over what I wear. So I guess this is what I'm doing.
No,
That would.
I think you won over Hammers now. I think Hammers has a crush on you now.
Good. Am I 5 for 5? Is that got everybody now?
Not Metal Man yet, but he's harder to please.
I'll keep working. I'll get you. I will get you, Metal Man.
Oh God, don't talk like that.
Jeez.
Oh.
Da-na-da-na-na, Metal Man, you and me.
Oh, now I'm fucking jealous. What the fuck? Now you lost one more.
It's
I'm loving
the
it.
music in between upon picking the stage that you're gonna play for. Was it Metal Man 2 and 3 that they used that?
It was definitely 2. Definitely 2.
God. I think this is my favorite interview so far. I'm just gonna say it right now.
Yeah, suck it, Shinari. I win.
So that was the game plan all along.
That's all I wanted. I'll talk to you guys later. Click.
He was just looking for that opening.
I'm sorry.
That's Snorri, goddammit!
Oh God.
Oh my God, we lost her.
She'll be back in an hour.
After I masturbated, I'll be good.
What?
All right. Anybody else want to ask a question before I make a fool of myself more than usual?
Yeah, actually. Okay, you want to work me over? Let's talk music.
Oh.
All
right. What's your favorite kind of music, man?
It's hard to say. I like listening to anything. Like, there's definitely been lots of times in cars where people are like, "I don't know if you're gonna like this," and I'm like, "I probably will, as long as it sounds like music." There's definitely music out there that doesn't sound like music, and I'm like, "Yeah, this isn't my favorite because this is just noises." Like,
Yeah.
a buddy of mine showed me some band that literally their songs were like 4 seconds long, and it was just like the fastest drum beat and like 2 guitar riffs, and it's like, yeah, what'd you think of that? And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't really get a chance to like get a feel for that. The aroma didn't really escape. Um, so mostly I like anything. I can tell you that my favorite music artist is Chris Cornell. His passing affected me more than like fucking my own family. I don't know why, but Chris Cornell was my musical fucking muse for a long time. Like my first bunch of wrestling finishers were all coincidentally named after Chris Cornell songs. So, like, yeah, I think if that answers the question, my favorite genre of music is whatever Chris Cornell is doing.
Well, I was gonna say
The cops.
Oh shit! They found me.
something
Oh,
along
boy.
the lines of kind of what do you throw on to work out? What is your the driving songs and stuff like that your go-to stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Chris Cornell. I'm so happy that I have Spotify and I could just put on like Chris Cornell because my iPad or iPod back in the day was only Chris Cornell songs. Not on purpose. I just downloaded everything of his and then never got around to downloading anything else. Um, so Chris Cornell is definitely something that I play a lot. I've been listening recently to a lot of Childish Gambino, just because I enjoy Donald Glover's work. Fucking Fleetwood Mac. I fucking love Fleetwood Mac. I'll put them on. I'll work out to Fleetwood Mac. I don't give a fuck. I'll play Rhiannon and lift some weights. Come at me. I don't give. I don't care. I don't care what you think about it.
Nice.
But yeah, my um, in high school, I was very much into like alternative. I liked Nirvana. I liked Soundgarden. I liked Pearl Jam, Green Day. But a lot of that music didn't really stick with me past high school. Like I don't listen to Nirvana very much anymore. Not that I dislike them. It's just I don't know. It's not my thing so much anymore. But for whatever reason, Chris Cornell always like stuck around. I was like, this guy, I still am into his music. I don't know what he sang in a lot of his songs, even though I've listened to them for my entire life. But fucking A, I want to listen to him say them.
All right, so that makes me kind of curious. So, what were your feelings on like a Temple of the Dog or something like that?
Fucking Temple of the Dog is that whole album is good in my opinion, in my humble opinion. Temple of the Dog is great. I think my least favorite Temple of the Dog song is Hunger Strike. Even though I do like Eddie Vedder, that song is just so different than all the other songs. But just I really like that album that it was dedicated to, the death of his name escapes me and I'm an asshole. But just like
Something or other from Blind Melon.
the guy from Mother Love Bone, I think was.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh shit, I can't remember his name.
But yeah, just like how that album was just like the lead singer died, and so Chris Cornell was like, "All right, let's make like a tribute album." And then Eddie Vedder sang on one song, and then Eddie Vedder was like, "All right, well, we're gonna form Pearl Jam now." So it was just such a cool like. It's a cool story, like the actual story around that and like where that album went to and where it came from is really cool. So yeah, Temple of the Dog, I'm a big fan of.
Okay, and what about Audio Slave?
Audio Slave, I liked. Audio Slave is not. If I'm going to listen to Chris Cornell, that's not my first go-to. I definitely like I like Soundgarden and I like Temple of the Dog better than Audio Slave personally. But I do enjoy Audio Slave. I definitely enjoy Chris Cornell's like acoustic versions of Audio Slave songs even more. Which is nothing against the band. I don't hate Rage Against the Machine or anything like that, but it was different than what I necessarily wanted. Much like his Scream album that was like kind of like upbeat dance music. I was like, this isn't what I expect from Chris Cornell, but I still enjoyed that one too. I enjoyed Scream.
I was going to say a lot of people usually have like either a very favorable position on Audio Slave or very unfavorable opinion of them, and it's always interesting to find like the ones that actually listen to it and kind of enjoyed it for what it was. I personally I didn't care much for it, but that was more it seemed like a clash of almost like a clash of the music. Where with Cornell, like I really enjoyed his solo work. I'm forever a Soundgarden fan. But yeah, something about Audioslave just kind of struck me as being like not quite right.
I hear you. Yeah, I had friends that like when it came out, that like I feel like it's slowing the band down because they wanted like that like rapping over this like music, and I was like, I don't feel like he's slowing it down. I just think that it's not the best mix for either the band or Chris Cornell, but I definitely didn't hate it. And anyone that was like, it's not political enough, I was like, well, there's some political songs, but that's also not why I'm listening to music. I'm listening to music to enjoy it. Like, I'm not a guy that's like looking for a deeper meaning in something unless I like finally realize like what these words mean. I'm a type of guy that can listen to a song a million times and then suddenly be like, wait a minute. Hang on, the song Hallelujah is about sex? I thought it was a religious song. Like, I just never really thought about the words before.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that. Like, I just listen to what I listen to because I like the sound of it. Like, I still rock, to the Backstreet Boys. I know there's a lot of people who are like, "Oh my God, Backstreet Boys, you have such lame taste." But I listen to them. I've been a fan. I've met them twice. They are all very sweet and lovely people. And you know what? They're making their own music now. So, like, they've done more than most boy bands of that generation. So,
they're senior citizen band now. I mean,
yeah, basically. But they all got kids. They all got wives. You know what? They're doing all right. At least, like, they're not all on meth or like dying from horrible diseases. I don't know, but they're all right. Anyway, but yeah, I get you. Like, you don't have to listen to something and go like, it has to be deep for me to like it.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely songs out there that like I will pick apart. Like, there was what is that Fleetwood Mac song that like just recently like I stopped and like listened to the lyrics and was like, man, this song is such a fucking like it's so backwards. It goes against itself, and now I can't think. Secondhand News. That song is amazing because it's so upbeat and like happy sounding and confident. And then if you actually listen to the words that he's saying, you're like, man, this guy's in some pain, and he's covering up with this like happy ass song about like how not in pain he is, but he really is fucked up right now. This is awesome.
I love it. Oh, Skittles asks, what's your opinion on cheese? Because why not?
Because that's a hard question.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan of cheese. I like cheese. I think the only cheese I don't like that I'm aware of is American cheese. I'm not a big fan of American cheese, but all
You
of the cheeses.
Racist.
And like that, you've won me over.
Oh, sweet! Finally.
Cheese over fucking cheese.
Over fucking cheese. I hate American cheese. God
Oh
damn,
my
that is my least
God.
favorite cheese. I'd rather suck blue cheese up my fucking nose than touch American cheese.
Wait. What about dick cheese?
Ew.
I don't know if I'd snort it up my nose, but I'm not going to say that I'm against it.
Well, apparently you've won the hearts of everybody in this group now. Anton, are you happy?
Yeah, I'll fill out my bingo card.
Jesus Christ, Opal. It's Anton Voorhees. This is who it is. It's in the title.
It's in the description.
Oh my God.
Does he know other sports? Okay, no.
Does he know other sports?
I just want to something real quick. If you could touch on the God damn it, my tongue just died. Blah, 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 blah. You just had a recent tournament back in September, and for the EBPW championship.
Yep, East Bay Pro.
And I guess from the start of the very first match, you seem to injure yourself, right?
Yes.
So, care to tell us a little bit about that? I saw that on YouTube, the whole tournament thing. It was pretty badass.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so here's my dilemma. I'm gonna let you guys in on how my brain works when it comes to professional wrestling. I go and wrestle at Hood Slam for a really awesome amount of money. They pay very well at Hood Slam, and I give them their money's worth, I would like to think. And then I go to other wrestling shows, and they're like, I can only give you this much. And you're going to be wrestling in front of like 80 people. And I'm like, it's so weird to wrestle in front of 900 people that are so shitting their pants to see you wrestle, and then to go in front of 60 people that are all farting in unison, which I know sounds like those are very similar things, but one is definitely positive and one is negative. You figure out which one's which. And so anytime I wrestle at East Bay Pro, which like I like East Bay Pro. I mean that's the company that I'm training people. I'm the head trainer at East Bay Pro Wrestling Academy.
Oh, cool.
But it's such a different vibe that I go out of my way to tell more of a story than I do at Hood Slam. Hood Slam, I'm out there, yes, to tell a story, but also to have a fucking blast. I'm there to have a great time. East Bay Pro, I'm there to like be more of an artist, I guess, and like if the fans don't like it or don't get it, I'm like, you know what? I needed to do this to like fill that void of 840 people that aren't here that I'm used to. And so, yeah, for that tournament, I was like, you know what? I want to get my arm attacked. I want to do the arm specifically because so much of my offense involves people landing on that arm, especially rupee cutters. Like, everyone's going to be landing on my injured arm. So, yeah, I decided that was the story that I wanted to tell. So I had Derevko beat the shit out of my arm, and then I had Too Fresh beat the shit out of my arm, and then I had Joe DeSol beat the shit out of my arm. And then I won the tournament and was like, God damn, my fucking arm hurts. So,
well, yeah, I mean, all three went ape shit on your freaking arm. I mean,
yeah, I had bruises all the way around my arm, like a fucking old school tribal tattoo.
All right, let's see if we have any questions in the chat and not just random ass fucking questions. Let's see.
What about the bread sandwich?
Oh, God damn it. We're not bringing up the bread sandwich, for fuck's sake.
Oh, we brought up the bread sandwich now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Or fuck.
Anti-Hero asks, if he could face off against any other living wrestler in the business, who would it be?
Man, I don't want to sound like I keep going back to Hood Slam wrestlers, and I'm assuming that's not what they want to hear because I guess that would be more boring. So I'm trying to think more outside the box. And I think like due to his popularity right now and the fact that I think that he would have a good time wrestling a really nerdy match from a guy that could possibly bring out a fucking treasure chest and hit him with a fucking hook shot or some shit. I think I'd wrestle Cody Rhodes. I think that he would enjoy the Zelda aspect of the gimmick, and I would also enjoy the Zelda aspect of the gimmick.
Right.
I gotcha.
So I'm gonna go Cody Rhodes.
Nice. Okay.
Do you love the Friday the 13th movies?
So Voorhees came because I used to work. This is fucking dating how old I am. I used to work at a Hollywood Video. You know when video stores were a thing.
Oh yeah.
And my buddies and I like would watch all of just the worst horror movies, just the garbage that like you would watch and be like, they filmed this on like a camcorder that you could buy at Best Buy. Like, why? How did these people get money? Like, I can see the cameraman in the reflection of the truck. Like, this shit is awful. Like, we went through every horrible movie, and we would write them down and give them, like, grades. And they were mostly Fs, a couple unviewables. There were some hidden gems in there, but I just watched a lot of horror movies, and so eventually, like, Anton Voorhees just kind of became the name that I was, like, known by at the video store. And then when I
Nice.
started wrestling, I was like, this is just kind of who I am, is just Anton Voorhees. And my original trainer was like, so are you like Jason Voorhees' little brother? And I was like, no, we just have the same last name. Like, it's not a horror gimmick. That's just, I mean, it is a real last name. It's just, that's my last name. And go. But yeah, Friday the 13th, I fucking love. My favorite Friday the 13th is the New Blood, the one with the girl with the telepathic powers, because why not? Why not have telepathic powers? He can only
Exactly.
ridiculous ones. I was going to say Jason X holds a favorite in my heart, but
Oh yes, yes. Jason X is fucking ridiculous. It is so fucking campy to the point of like, this is basically a comedy, right? This is no longer even a horror movie.
I was in tears when he had the chicks in the what in the bag. What was it? What kind of bag was it?
oh, the sleeping bag where it's
Yeah, the sleeping bag. He just starts like punching the shit and then slamming the chicks in the fucking tree. I was like, wow. I was in tears. I was laughing so hard.
Yeah, that was a callback to he killed someone in a different movie that same way. I forget. I want to say it was like 3 or 4 that he did that.
Jason versus Freddy was amazing.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I definitely like that. Robert Englund is the man.
of course.
So Opal asks, I googled him. Why is his butt so round?
When you Google me, there's pictures of my butt. That's fucking great.
Wait. I need to confirm this. All right, let's see.
Wait. I can confirm. There's this one picture of you that you wearing like the green tights.
Oh yes.
Yeah, exactly. You're definitely showing your ass right there, and you're like,
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the first thing that comes up is your ass.
very first,
Jesus.
very first fucking thing that comes out. East Bay it says best athlete in East Bay, and then there's a picture of you pointed at the camera, like with your back turning away or something.
Kind of
Gotcha.
in this with this look like, yeah, you know you like it.
Yeah, no, I know the picture. Like, I guess I haven't Googled myself recently, which is weird because I try to Google myself at least once a day. But yeah, why is my ass so round? Genetics, number one. I always kind of had like a ghetto booty, like even
Ooh.
when I was younger, and I've also put a lot of work. A lot goes into this ass, Opal. Take that as you will.
That makes 2 of us, but I don't think I work out. Shut up.
Oh my god.
Asking all the hard questions today.
Yep.
We are, but you know what? I thought I should bring that up because everybody needs to know you got a great ass.
Thank
you. You're welcome.
Second best ass at Hood Slam.
I
Wait.
still want to know who's the first.
Yeah, who the hell's the first?
It doesn't matter. It really, I don't know, and I don't want to know. I'm the second. That's what
Cammy.
someone told me,
It's-
and I take it. It's mine.
Which
my
one
time.
did you say,
It's
Hammers? Cammy.
Cammy. Yeah,
Cammy.
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 Yeah.
Hammers. Do the thought patrol thing, please. I missed it.
Oh.
Well, I was going to say,
I-
do you want to save that for the end?
No. Just once.
Hold up. Give me a second. Give me a second here. Talk amongst yourselves.
All right. Well, real quick, Skittles did ask, what is the most awkward moment in the ring for you?
I don't. The most awkward moment in the ring. I don't have a lot of awkward moments when it comes to wrestling. I guess something that could be comparable to being awkward was I was wrestling against Ken and Ryu, as I did a million times. and I got thrown to the outside and was going to come in and basically do a phenomenal forearm. And when I went to springboard, my feet got caught on the ropes. And as I was coming over, I was like, "Oh, my feet are stuck." And so, like, I just quickly did like a roll instead of hitting the ropes. I just did a quick roll. And when I stood up, I just forearmed Ken in the face.
Oh,
And the Hood Slam fans, like, knew what I was going for, saw that it didn't work, saw that I had fixed it on the fly, and applauded politely. And I was like, no, like anywhere else they'd be like, "Oh, you fucked up," but like Hood Slam fans are just like, "Hey, nice recovery, man." And I was like, "Thanks."
No Macho Mania moment.
Like, I mean, it could have been on there, but I enjoyed the Hood Slam fans' response to it, because Hood Slam fans aren't there to see a 5-star match. Like, we'll give them one, but they're there to have a great time. And so when things like that happen, they're not going to be like, "Oh, that's fucking terrible." They're just like, "Hey, good job."
well, that's why I think it's a pop. I think that's why it's a popular saying of whenever they say this is real, because everybody knows it's gimmicky and they love it, and that's why I love it. Is it's silly, but it's so fun. Like, I can have so much fun just watching multiple people's matches. Honestly,
Good.
yeah,
Happy to hear it.
yeah. That's why you're one of my favorites.
Huh.
Yeah. Wait, let me give you the heart hands because I can. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Boom.
Where's hammers?
Okay, so it's been way over an hour. I don't know.
Yeah, it's been a little bit longer than an hour. So I was going to say, do you have any advice for any starter wrestlers or anything like that?
Yeah, I think the best advice that I can give someone who wants to get into wrestling is think about what it is that you bring to the table. Like, a lot of people want to be professional wrestlers and don't know why. And professional wrestling is a selfish thing. You're basically telling people, like, "Hey, I want you to pay money to watch me do this thing." And if you don't know why you feel like you deserve people to pay to see you, like, that should be your first step. What do you bring to the table that other people don't? And keep building off of that.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Very good advice.
Thank you.
And before we end this, do you have any things you have in the future to do, like any matchups or promos?
Yes, show yourself.
Shill it hard.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, the first Friday is this Friday. We got Fuck the Fans 9, I think. We're at 9.
Yeah.
Fuck the Fans 9 is Friday. I don't know what I'm doing there because Serial Man is in charge of Fuck the Fans. And I don't know what he wants me to do, or if he wants me to do anything. Fucking Serial Man. The next weekend, I have a title defense at East Bay Pro. I'm wrestling Grizzly Cal Jack, who is gigantic. If you haven't seen my promo about it, you should watch it because I'm hilarious. And it's an entertaining little promo about wrestling a gigantic bear. And I think then Blood Slam. Fucking Blood Slam is my favorite Hood Slam event, and that is coming up, I believe, on the 19th. Little known fact, I had a lot to do with the story that we're telling at Blood Slam.
Ooh.
So for that, that same weekend we have a Sexy Good Time horror show or something like that. So lots of Hood Slam stuff going on. East Bay Pro is 2 weekends a month. Hood Slam is 3 shows this month. So I got a lot coming up.
Cool.
Nice.
Everyone should watch all of it besides the East Bay Pro stuff, because if you don't live in the East Bay, you probably won't see it. So
Yeah, thanks for reminding me.
I know, right?
But we have a new, one of my students has taken over our Instagram and Facebook, and she has done a great job so far of putting together videos and stuff like that. She just put my match against Steven Tresario, also known as Stevie T of the Hayward Heat. That was my last title defense. And made that video that Gamers was mentioning earlier, where it has the whole tournament on it, and she's doing a great job. Aaliyah Mia Garcia has the coolest fucking name in the world, and she is doing a great job.
Nice. Nice. Okay. All right, is there anything else that anybody wants to say before Hammers does his wonderful Thought Patrol thing again?
I love you.
Love you more than gaming does.
Oh, you guys can love me equal amounts, or you can fight over who gets me. I don't know. I don't care. Either way, you guys can share me, or you can fight to the death. One or the other. No gray area.
We'll figure it out later.
Okay.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that will bring us to an end on at least the broadcast portion of this. So, thank you all for tuning in and watching us stammer through this.
Who cares? We had fun.
Go Hammers.
Do it.
Do I have to bring up our sponsor
Yes.
for the show?
Sponsor time.
Okay. So, our sponsor for this stream is Thought Patrol. They make sure to protect your booty. You're welcome, Internet. Wink.
Yes, I missed that.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.